What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Hitbox European Championship here on the Pro Dota English channel. Of course, being sponsored by AlphaDraft Steel Series and esportgaming.com. Probably too late to place bets on this one, but hey, there's always next time if you are going to eSport Gaming. Also check out Steel Series and AlphaDraft. You saw a little bit of them before. And if you don't know what Steel Series are, then what are you doing with your life? I'm Mikelorus, going to be your caster for this game 2. This time joined by GrandisV. I don't know if you saw any of the last game, but mYinsanity, they just smoked alternate attacks. It wasn't even really close.
It didn't feel like there was ever a time in that game where ATN had map control or had any semblance of control over that game, and it came a lot down to the support picks. The Rubik and Silencer, as you said in the first game, are great late game supports, but as far as their contribution early, they don't really have that much. Telekinesis cooldown is incredibly long and can't react appropriately to the amount of aggression that came out from mYinsanity. There were some times where it looked like ATN could turn it around, but I would like to see, at the very least, a more aggressive support duo, but already a change of pace. It's going to be a Leshrac.
Somehow getting through the pool. It's so rare that we see this hero nowadays, just because it's always banned out in the first phase, but mYinsanity deciding instead to take out the IO, deciding instead to take out the Bounty Hunter, then also attacks and take out the Quap and Gyrocopter. So mYinsanity, they had a chance last game to pick up a Tusk, was completely ignored, so I don't know if they're going to open up with that this time, but preparing up against the Leshrac, I feel like Shaker +1, probably the safest way to go. You can't really put one hero versus Leshrac and expect that lane to go well.
Shaker Lina would at least be my personal choice. It's a hero that functions in a very similar way to the Leshrac inside the mid lane, has comparable nuke damage, and you can catch out the Lesh if you have any sort of long-range setup like that Shaker. So I think that's a stable way to go about it, but yeah, Lina's going to start things off, and yeah, there's your Shaker. No real big surprises, though. It's an incredible opener.
And then Clockwork, right?
Sounds about right.
I think we've got this meta game nailed down. I think we know what's going on. It could not be a Clockwork. They could just go for someone like a Tusk or something. Like, I don't even know why I was bothering. Let's be honest, it was going to be a Clockwork. So, yeah, Ultra Attacks have their offlane. mYinsanity have their dual roamers. Again, they do have the flexibility of putting Lina in the mid lane. Last time it was an Earthshaker and Lina roaming around. And, well, it could still be the same thing. Maybe grab a well, no more Gyrocopter, but maybe grab a Slark again, who knows, and then just sit on the Clockwork. The offlane Clock of last game did not have a good time versus this duo, and well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to repeat itself, maybe not, who knows.
Another hero to keep your eye out. Darks here for mYinsanity would be wonderful combos, well with the Lina and the Earthshaker. And in general is okay against Clockwork. You can suck him out from his cogs, and it's just a good hero to have at your disposal. Massive amount of utility. I'd be surprised if Team Alternate Attacks don't ban it.
They would probably want to grab, Alternate Attacks want to grab someone like your Rubik, just to combo up with that Leshrac a little bit. He's not really a hero that needs setup necessarily. He could do just fine without it, but it's definitely a lot better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So Rubik just against a Shaker as well. I would expect that ban out from mYinsanity. It would be fine for mYinsanity if they actually pick it up themselves, maybe. But Shaker and Rubik is definitely not as powerful, not as explosive as a support duo as Shaker Lina.
Looks like Team ATN are at least expecting the Lina not to go mid, or are scared of something else in the mid lane. They're going to ban out the Shadow Fiend, then mYinsanity will ban out the Rubik themselves. Rubik is good defensively against the Clockwork too, but Earthshaker Rubik is a tad defensive, a support duo if they do decide to go for it. And it looks like it might just be the Lina Earthshaker support.
Yeah, the two as a combo just lack the punch. They don't really have as much range as, you know, compared to the Lina versus the Rubik, so just overall aggressively a little bit weaker. And up against the Leshrac, I think applying as much pressure as possible definitely should be something to keep in mind for mYinsanity. But if it's not going to be the Queen of Pain or the Shadow Fiend or the Leshrac to go up against Leshrac, like, what is it going to be? Is it actually going to be this Lina in mid? Do you think they could get away with something else, like maybe dip into the Wind Ranger type area?
Yeah, Windrunner is always going to be an okay hero. If it's in your comfort zone, which it is for mYinsanity, it's going to contribute something to the team. Although maybe not the best pick, and I'd like to see them save it for a little bit later. It would be reasonable.
We have Winter Wyvern being banned out, so mYinsanity can take out the really scary defensive support heroes from the alternate attack side. Maybe a Dazzle or something like that, just to keep this Leshrac alive up against this burst. mYinsanity gonna waste no time. Grab the Anti-Mage. So it's a soft counter to the Leshrac. It's, the anti-mage is good Leshrac, not really just going to crush him every single time, but now they actually have a much more slower game plan compared to the last game where it was a kind of tri-lane with Slark, Shaker, and Lina. Anti-mage can participate in those fights, especially up against a Clockwork, but it seems like they're more interested in playing the slow game, getting the farm up in the AM, and then winning it later.
Team ATN will pick up the Spirit Breaker, a lot of global threat. Coming out from the Clockwork Barra, you can apply a lot of pressure to the anti-mage, but at the moment, Team Alternate Attack's lockdown isn't 100% reliable, and I might like to see them pick up something akin to the Skywrath Mage here, just a point-click silence that can catch anti-mage up before he gets Manta Style. For mYinsanity, however, it's going to be a Visage. Pretty interesting there. Lina probably going to be your mid laner, although Visage can function inside a core role. We're probably not going to be seeing that. It's a lot of damage coming up from mYinsanity's supporting cast.
Yeah, the problem I see here with mYinsanity's supports is that, well, Visage is, I think we could safely assume that he's going to be support. You want him to be with a high damaging support hero, and Earthshaker isn't necessarily that hero. Anti-Mage is also not necessarily that hero. You can't really quickly fill up that soul assumption bar. Visage Lina is probably your best bet, but then, like, who's going towards the mid lane? Where's Shaker going to go? There are a lot of unanswered questions there. So, though I do love me some Visage, it seems like decent versus what alternate attacks have as well. It seems like the lane isn't as powerful as it could be if they sequence their picks just a little bit more, if they had this in mind from the beginning, because it seems like right now it's going to be a tri-lane of Anti-Mage, Visage, Shaker, which is fine, but it's definitely not as explosive as some other combos that they, well, the last combo that they ran in the last game.
I might like to see them throw the Earthshaker into the offlane, pick up another support as their last pick. But for Team Alter Attacks, it's going to be a Dazzle for them. A lot of ways to run interference for Leshrac and make sure he's able to sit on the backlines and just spam out, which is very scary to be playing up against. It's going to rely pretty heavily on how mYinsanity use the familiars to interrupt all of that inside the team fights.
They really don't have any initiator either. Lina, maybe going towards mid, can expect to see a Eul Scepter coming out from her, so maybe they get the jump in, but outside of that, Blink Dagger and Shaker seems like it's going to be delayed for a long time up against these kind of aggressively slanted heroes from alternate attacks, so who's going to get on top of this Leshrac? You have to go through Charge, you have to go through Cogs, then you have to fight through a Dazzle's defensive power. It's not going to be easy for mYinsanity to kill up the Leshrac unless they somehow catch out the Leshrac in a bad position, which is, going to happen occasionally, I'm sure, and they have enough burst damage from there on out to get the kill, but as far as consistently locking down and killing off the Lesh, it's really going to be difficult, and for an off-lane last pick, I'm not really sure what'll make that a lot easier, if it is, going to be a Shaker support still.
Ooh. Beastmaster would have fit the bill, but instead it's going to be a Bloodseeker pick, instantly snagged up by mYinsanity. How is this going to change up their lanes? mYinsanity have so many different ways that they could shuffle around these heroes, and it would still kind of work. I think the only lane that's more or less set in stone is Anti-Mage farming in some form or fashion.
Suddenly Anti-Mage mid. They're going to next level alternate attacks, but they could even run dual lanes. Like Bloodseeker, Visage, Shaker, Anti-Mage. Like, it's not the best lanes. They definitely have their weaknesses, but hell, if you fissure in the Clockwork, then start on him with the mana break from Anti-Mage, you can get over the fact that you have double meleeing that lane really quickly. And of course, Bloodseeker Visage can do a lot as well. We have a Clinks as the last pick for alternate attacks. As far as playstyle is concerned, kind of similar to the Leshrac, it's a hero that wants to hide behind all these barriers, wants to make use of all these defensive tools, but mYinsanity, with this Bloodseeker pickup, have just stepped up their early mid-game pressure a lot. Even to a point where they could get on top of the Clinks, who's a lot easier to kill in general than Leshrac.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be hard to evaluate these lineups until we see how the lanes go down, but I quite like Team Alternate Attacks if they can get an early advantage. If the lanes go well, and they probably should, Clockwork tends to get a decent amount out of his lane. Leshrac is touted as probably one of the best laners in Dota right now, and Clinks is also, even if left completely alone, fairly self-sufficient, so I think Team ATN have a more reliable lineup.
They have a good amount of minus armor and a good amount of ways to capitalize on minus armor. Dazzle or Clinks, usually one of the two picks up a medallion. Maybe in this game it's going to be Dazzle because he wants to get a Solar Crest, but there should be a Desolator from the Clinks, and then that all leads into Edict doing more damage. It is hard to ever say that the team with Leshrac has a inferior draft, and I don't think this game is going to be an exception. They have enough aggressive power, they have enough damage for sure come the mid game, and the Spirit Breaker is really going to be potentially troublesome for mYinsanity to deal with, but we'll see. I mean, mYinsanity are a game up, so even if they lose this game, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to introduce our lineups on the ATN side, on the Radiant team, it's going to be Sasu playing on the Clockwork, running out to place his ward. Dimitri is going to be on the Spirit Breaker, Leshrac handled by Supreme, Nisha on the Dazzle, and last but not least, I'll have Clinks by Exotic Deer.
And for mYinsanity, they're going to put Mitch on the Bloodseeker. Milan is going to be on the Shaker. Now, Thug looks like he's going to go mid lane as the Lina with a Spartan on the Visage. That, of course, leaves Anti-Mage, who's going to stick around a little bit. Played by Nico Baby on the bottom lane, but he doesn't really have intentions of sticking around down here. Ooh, they see Exotic Deer. Fissure is going to be considered, will be thrown. LSA, though, is nowhere close. That was not accurate.
Yeah, they expect Clinks to hug the tree line a little bit more, and when you go for those blind plays, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. All it's really going to cost mYinsanity is a little bit of mana, and that's not all that much. GLHF is going to be called out, and it looks like it's going to be a 1-for-1 rune trade. I don't expect ATN to contest bottom, and I don't expect mYinsanity to contest top, so Nika Baby's just going to run up towards top lane, look to block out the creeps, but a lot of regen's been picked up by the Sam. It feels like he expects to be pressured a lot. With the Spirit Breaker Clockwork, maybe that's not too far from the truth.
He's going to get into a fight trying to go for this bounty rune. He's not going to get it. Blink straight over the cliff. And, well, he'll be fine. No 17%, at least not yet for Nico Baby on the receiving end of that one. But for right now, it seems like Lina's just going to be going up against the Leshrac. We'll see how much help this Lina is actually going to get. Spartan is here just to block, and looks like they will just let her, leave her to her own devices. It is going to be dual lanes after all for mYinsanity. Lina going up against Leshrac, probably one of the best lanes you could ask for up against Lesh, but still, it's a Leshrac lane. You're not going to be having a great time as any hero.
Yeah, absolutely. But at least for now, until Leshrac gets a couple more levels, Lina can do just that, land a stun here and there, put a little bit of harass, and for now it's even, but later it gets a little bit harder. Nika Baby up top is under a lot of heat. If they got a couple of bashes there, that might have even been a kill. But for now, Nika Baby is going to be fine. He just can't keep up with the mana burn on both of these targets, even once he gets level 2. They're going to go aggressively into the Bara, but wow, that's very risky. Nika Baby, I'm surprised he hasn't backed off and salved as of yet. He wants to just rely on his Tango regen.
If he gets bashed once, he might just be dead here. And let's be honest, if he gets bashed once, the game of Dota works that if you get bashed once, you're probably going to get bashed twice, because that is always how it works. This is not an easy lane for the Anti-Mage right now until he gets more help, and the help is currently sitting over in mid lane where Milan is looking for a block off onto Supreme. If they land this stun wall off with the LSA, they might get this kill. A couple more right clicks, Dragon Slave is there as well. Leshrac, thinking of turning around with the Split Earth, is going to start running downhill. He's completely spotted out, by the way, because the Bloodseeker has Thirst, and Milan has another Fissure in 4 seconds, but Nisha is going to arrive, and with the Salve, Supreme is going to keep himself perfectly safe. So it's an attempt for mYinsanity towards that mid lane. It's not really a terribly huge deal that they don't get it, since it is going to buy Thug a little bit more space in this lane.
And that said, both the bottle on the Leshrac and the Lina should be at about the same time, and it's a lot of time invested by the Earthshaker that doesn't really amount to much of anything. Yes. It's just kind of an awkward time to be going for that gank, because Lina isn't at her full burst potential. Doesn't have a second point up in Dragon Slave, but there's going to be a charge up top. They're looking again for the bashes onto Nika Baby. The slow of the attack speed coming up from the Grave Troll, and now Fissure is going to buy Nika Baby enough space, and there's the Soul Assumption turn onto Dimitri. They need one more attack from literally any hero, and it's going to come from Spartan. That's going to be First Blood, drawn by mYinsanity.
At the same time, bottom lane Bloodseeker was going to get into a fist fight with the Dazzle. And then Grave came out at the last second, and Bloodseeker had to turn tail and run, so he's going to keep himself safe there. But up towards top, as I said, it is going to be First Blood for mYinsanity's Visage, suddenly with enough gold for boots or something along those lines, maybe a couple of Observe rewards or whatever. But this rotation up to the top lane, though, it is very, very useful and kind of necessary to get this Anti-Mage this extra space. This Bloodseeker isn't really having a great time versus these double heroes. Like, Clinks versus Bloodseeker is already a really good lane for the Clinks. Add a Dazzle on top of that for even extra poke and that 100% insurance, and it's going to be really hard for the Bloodseeker to get that much done. Like, he operates in this lane by just getting last hits and sustains himself, but if you're getting poked by 2 heroes, it's really hard to do that.
Mitch, at any time, could go into the jungle, and he's still getting a lot of good experience down here. So I think the lane is still fine for the Bloodseeker, and just look at how aggressively he can post up onto Exotic Deer when he's alone. But now, with a little bit of help from Dazzle, Mitch needs to be careful, and will be forced to pack up and tango up. Mitch down to less than 200 HP.
We're still chopping Exotic
Milan
Deer.
in mid. Ooh. He wants this Fissure. They're going to open up with it. They have the Light Strike array to follow up, but it again misses. And that's going to mean that Supreme's able to back off.
Maybe if it's level 2 Fissure for just a tad more stun duration, they get that kill. Instead, here comes the Spirit Breaker. Charging the fountain, not exactly what you want to do. Cows are going to see each other, shouldn't really interact with each other, and As Leshrac still to remain alive. In my insanity, they're doing the right thing in the fact that they do have to, or they should, try to pressure this Leshrac as much as possible. But pressuring Leshrac and getting kills in Leshrac, you can, force the Leshrac to make a couple of awkward plays, try to force out a little bit of extra regen. But if you're actually not getting the kills at the end of the day, you're not accomplishing all too much.
Lina is still even when it comes to last hits. In fact, has a slight edge, 20-4 compared to 17-3. I think this lane is going about as expected. Both of these heroes are very good at just spamming out the waves and keeping them out. And so this lane equivalence. Ooh,
Mitch has a double damage rune. He could take both of these heroes on, actually. Nisha's going to grave himself, and Mitch will drop the Silent Circle. Will that pop Nisha? No, it won't. He'll get out just in time. But with the DD rune and the heal, he should be able to get back up to near full. Or just charge Exotic Deer, because this is what Bloodseeker does. He just runs at you, and he kind of just kills you afterwards. So Mitch is actually now going to regain control of this lane. That double damage rune was really useful for him. Now level 5, and once he gets level 6, the Dazzle's still going to have Grave to keep himself alive. But unless they have a Spirit Breaker arriving, I don't even know if they can kill Mitch.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult for them. And as a whole, Mitch is applying a lot more pressure than the Clockwork. That said, the Clockwork's actually gotten a lot of CS. He has 2 points up in the Flare, that definitely helps, but I'm surprised that Clockwork's keeping pace with the top farmers this game.
Mitch, he's going to dive the tier 1, or at least get a couple of tower shots to his face. He's still just fine, but here we go. Here's where the lane gets interesting. Mitch has been playing this entire game without worrying about the Spirit Breaker, but now he will have to. Spirit Breaker's coming in kind of slowly, and Mitch is really defensively placed, has a ton of armor as well. Let's see if this charge is actually going to be fully committed to. Yeah, it is, but I don't think it's going to do anything.
The silence is going to return about as much damage as the charge itself did, but now that there's somebody else in this lane, Mitch has to play a little bit more defensively. He can't trade hits with the Clinks when there's 2 heroes behind him.
But still, he's doing just fine. If he keeps these support heroes down here, they're obviously going to stay away from this Lina. And Lina's going to continue having a slight lead over the Leshrac. Nothing too substantial there, but Thug does have that level 6. And level 6 is a big level for the Lina. That's not really replicated by the Leshrac, who's a little bit more of a linear scaling hero. Thug is very close now to being able to... Well, I think she can actually just combo down the Leshrac if she lands in LSA. And it will be a lot easier now that the Shaker has level 2 Fissure. So this Leshrac has to be super careful. Bottom lane, though, speaking of careful, Mitch on the run. Another Searing Arrow, not quite going to do it. And again, the Bloodseeker just refuses to go down.
Even with nobody dangerously low, just a little bit of chip damage on the Clock Clinks and Spirit Breaker, the Bloodseeker is moving at almost haste. In mid lane, there's your combo that you're talking about on the Leshrac. They'll blow him up as he tried to go aggressive onto Thug, but this Earthshaker really hasn't left mid ever, I want to say. Showed his face top, but for the most part, he's just been stacking up, which has been very successful, I might add. The large camp is up at a 4 stack, and just making sure that the Leshrac can't dive the Lina, so that's going to be another kill for mYinsanity.
Finally, they actually get the kill on the Leshrac, which is probably the most important hero for them to be pressuring right now. The Clockwork is doing fine, but with the Flare, you can't really do too much to stop him from farming. He'll always get those Flare last hits unless he really messes up. And Sasu now has hook shots, so Sasu is pretty much ready to go. Cogs go up, though. Nico Baby's okay with trading hits right now because he has the mana break, and Sasu does not. He's actually stuck against the tree, and they shouldn't be able to get this kill. Level 2 Soul Assumption's good, but not 460 HP good. And they will force the Clockwork way far back. He has no more mana, therefore he's got to go all the way back to Fountain. But 2-0 for mYinsanity, and Bloodseeker, he has level 6. Is he going to leave the bottom lane, or is he going to be content with staying there? It looks like he's going to set his sights towards mid, where there's a Spirit Breaker here, and that's it.
Yeah, Mitch very easily can rotate around, and although he probably won't be able to kill off the likes of the Dazzle with just a Grave TP, he doesn't have a TP right now. And there are a lot of openings for this Bloodseeker to contribute. The Clockwork, on the flip side of the coin, also has level 6, so I'd like to see his offlaners get very active. Yeah, it's going to drop poor Dimitri very low. There's nothing he can do, but the turnaround with the sun coming up from the Leshrac, and the damage is pretty immense. He's going to be walking right up the cliff into the Dazzle. Body blocks there to secure the kill for the Lash. It's going to mean that ATN are going to get on the board.
Leshrac gets the kill as well. It's a pretty even trade, all things considered. Not a huge advantage going either way, but Bloodseeker getting those kills, diving a little bit too deep for it perhaps is, a little bit too overconfident with his survivability given how his bottom lane situation went. If he's going to do that, versus a Spirit Breaker, you really have to watch yourself. Even if the Spirit Breaker is going to start out at half HP, you got to go for heroes like Clinks, like the Dazzle. Hell, even the Leshrac is a little bit more vulnerable, so Bloodseeker has to choose his targets a little bit more carefully. But while he's doing that, like, Nico Baby's still up towards top lane, this time up against absolutely nobody. This is time for mYinsanity, where if they're sitting back and doing nothing, they're okay with it. Like, the anti-mage is farming while this is happening.
Yeah. And the Lina too. She clears out that big stack, has 1,000 gold on top of her Void Stone. It's going to be propelling herself towards having that Yule Scepter of Divinity, and has a haste rune inside her bottle. So now they're going to smoke up, and if Thug leads, or if they get a good Fissure here, this could very easily be a kill for mYinsanity. Bloodseeker down towards bottom is now going to find it a lot more difficult to deal with this Clinks. The max out Searing Arrows really do burn.
The smoke is going to bypass Spirit Breaker. Seems like they have a bigger target in mind. Oh, it's the Leshrac as well. That's a good one. Fissure is there, plus Thug closing in with the haste rune. Laguna Blade's available. And there's a heal from the high ground, but no grave. It's only level 2, so maybe didn't reach, but either way, that's a dead Leshrac. Plus, Lina grabs the bounty rune, which Leshrac really wanted. And, well, she still has a little bit more haste rune. With the Rupture available on the Bloodseeker, they may want to go for more. They see Nisha right now. Fissure is going to connect. Thug still has that Laguna Blade. Will not throw it, but Nisha's stuck, and he's got to run through a Bloodseeker or a Lina to get out. You don't really want to be there ever, but Searing Arrows, Mitch is going to drop really low. Is he going to survive? Yes, he will. 50 HP, got bottled up by one of his buddies as well. And Exotic Deer still looking for this, but now he's going to get ruptured. He's on the run. Sentry's going to drop. He's still in range of it. There's a Fissure to cancel the TP. He's stuck in the trees, however. He's still kind of dying, and he should be spotted. They have enough mana for Laguna Blade soon, but here comes Leshrac, making things a little bit more interesting. Thug's going to get stunned up first. Mitch, he's now really speedy. Exotic Deer, no, they actually have no idea where he is. Now they know where he is, and now he's going to die. No, why'd you do that, Clinks? Oh, man. That was hilarious.
Clinks was entirely stuck there. What they needed was Split Earth to block him out of there, and he already used his TP, so that could have been really awkward for the Clinks, but 1 to 6 is going to be your kill score. As mYinsanity get a lot of his last couple rotations, and they might be looking for more. They have a charge over onto the Visage. That could change things up a lot, but a stun landing on a Milan, that's going to be a very easy kill for the Lash as the Earthshaker walks around the corner, and now they'll chase forward for Thug. Clockwork's coming in, he has a hook shot, the Familiars are going to be annoying, Light Strike Ray will connect, and the Split Earth will miss. There's going to be a Laguna Blade. That'll kill off the Spirit Breaker. Almost on impact with a little bit of help from the Blood, but it's a double kill for Supreme, and not over yet. The Strike still has a little bit of mana to work with. Gonna put that into the Visage, but now completely out. Does he have enough for this kill? Hookshot in with the 1 HP Clockwork as he was saved by the Shallow Grave. Is going to secure that kill. Anti-Mage joining the fray, trying to kill off the Slash. Drops a Mana Void. A little bit more damage is all they need, and he's spotted out. A triple kill for the Bloodseeker, and a big trade for mYinsanity.
Full 5-man wipe, I think. Clinks, yeah, was the first one to drop over in the tree area off to the right side, but Anti-Mage collecting a couple kills in the end, and he's going to be really happy with that one since he also ends up seeing the pretty big stack that Alternate have been making, and Bloodseeker also gets to survive from that, up to 2,200 gold now. That Visage lasted for so damn long. Like, he was occupying so many heroes worth of time, and Lina also, even after running into a double cog, was able to return with the Laguna Blade. So mYinsanity got all of their skills off, at least all the ones that they really wanted to get off. And for Alternate, they had all the heroes there, but not really all at the same time, not properly coming in. And mYinsanity, they're kind of funneling in as well, but this Bloodseeker, he was running around really quickly and forcing heroes like Dazzle to get into an awkward position. The Visage's Familiars, though, that might have been what won them that fight. They got so much damage off.
And the Anti-Mage, after joining that fight, is now up to 3 kill involvements and mops up what was a triple stack inside the medium cam. And all this is going to inflate his last hits a little bit. The Anti-Mage is only about 1,200 gold away from finishing the full Battle Fury with treads and with a magic stick on top of all of that.
Oh, smoke.
They're going... Yeah.
Sasu. He's so screwed right now. Fissure is there, Laguna is available, and Sasu's not going to die outright from it. But with a couple more right clicks, he should be going down. He's going to get healed up. Grave as well. They kill off the Visage in the meantime. He's going to hook shot in. That's kind of bold. They do still see him. Dragon Slave will get the kill in the meantime. Bloodseeker walks right into a mess of heroes. It's Supreme who's in the most trouble, however. Familiars are in the air, and he's ruptured. He's going to get Mana Voided, still on the run, but he shouldn't be running. Anti-Mage is going to take the kill in the end. Now Thug wants Nisha, who already used his Graves, going to get the heal off, but that's not going to save him. Gets into a corner, and he will go down as well. Clinks is the only survivor out of this one. mYinsanity this time lose the Bloodseeker, but again, Lina is the survivor this time, and the Anti-Mage. He is that much closer to his Battle Fury.
There's so much pressure on this Leshrac to perform inside these fights, and really he's the only target that mYinsanity have to respect wholeheartedly. This Clockwork's gone for a very mixed build. His individual kill power is very limited, and the Clinks, is just not in a place where he can stand and fight inside these engagements. Even with Death Pact up, he's still pretty easy to just focus down with the raw amount of damage that mYinsanity have, especially in a situation if they Blood Rage the Lina.
Yeah, the Clinks is in the middle of the pack as far as the net worth is concerned, and he is currently not working with any real plus damage items. He's gone for the Aquila, he's gone for Soul Ring, he's gone for the Power Treads. These are all nice on Clinks, but really if you want to be active in these fights, if you want to be doing a ton of damage, you go for Medallion, and you try to build that into a Desolator a little bit later. And I don't know if he's actually going to go for those types of items. I mean, Desolator, it seems like that's just off the table completely simply because of how poor he is, but Medallion, it seems like that'll give him the best shot at actually getting some value. And oh, Spirit Breaker. You don't want to be there. Just don't move. Maybe Spartan won't see you.
Lucky enough for the Spirit Breaker, there is no ward vision around the corner, so I don't know where Dimitri is. Maybe they could set up for a kill, but it's still very awkward. He's going to decide to charge away. He's going to charge up to the creep step in top lane, and although he's going to be spotted, I'm pretty sure, shouldn't matter too much. Nikobaby is going to go back to farming, and this anti-mage has his Battle Fury as soon as he wants to fly that out to himself. So even if they kill off Nikobaby now, this anti-mage is going to propel himself in farm so much faster than the likes of the Clinks in particular. Leshrac might be able to power farm just as quickly with just efficient use of the woods, but yeah, Nikobaby is going to be pulling ahead.
The tower is going to be destroyed down on the bottom lane. Top lane tower going to be under a little bit of pressure, but it's Thug who's being stalked right now. But who's stalking you actually? Nikobaby. He's going to get charged. He's going to get hookshot. He's going to get stunned up, sitting in the cogs as well, bumped back and dropped. They trade him for the Clockwork. That was an awkward place for an anti-mage to be. Doesn't even get his Battle Fury delivered, which isn't really going to matter. But now we have Mitch coming in with the Rupture. They see Exotic Deer. Well, they can't see him anymore, and they actually rupture Nisha, who's in a lot of trouble. Walks out of the circle, but he's going to get beaten down regardless. Just stick the Familiars on him, and they should get the kill. Mitch, though, he's moving really quickly. 600 movement speed? Are you kidding me? How's that fair? They're going to kill off the Dazzle, and that's going to be a 2-for-1. That's still not great for mYinsanity, actually. Losing the Anti-Mage hurts.
He didn't lose any gold, though, since he just bought his Battle Fury. More importantly, it's about a minute where he's not farming. And that minute could have transitioned into probably about 400 gold, at least, for an anti-mage. So, yeah, very, very awkward time for him to be dying. Still, his Battle Fury is done, although it's slightly going to be lessened with its impact since it is delayed by effectively a minute. It's still going to be fine. Up top lane, Leshrac going to look for the Lina kill with a little bit of help from the Spirit Breaker. They'll be able to secure that one without any real hope of mYinsanity backing that up. Earthshaker TP'd, but it's too late.
Leshrac's nuking damage is still something that mYinsanity have to be very careful of. If they're on the defensive, mYinsanity gets so much worse. Bloodseeker doesn't want to be there, even though he does have a Blade Mail. They really want to be the ones starting the fights and ending the fights, mYinsanity. And same thing for Alternate, so it's really just a race of who's going to catch who first. For the most part, it's been mYinsanity finding Alternate. But hey, who knows? In a couple of engagements, maybe it's going to swap places, since Klink's actually going to go for that Desolator build. It's not exactly going to be the fastest of all time, considering how much pressure he's been in and how much he's had to deal with. But right now, they actually have an opportunity to crash Roshan. They know about it. And with the Flare, mYinsanity know that they're spotted. But it seems like they don't give a damn. Double damage rune for a little while longer in the Bloodseeker. They are going to be negatively woven by the Dazzle. Exotic Deer going to walk in. Here's the hookshot onto Milan. He might be able to get the Echo Slam off, but they already lost the Bloodseeker. Klink's going to assassinate him right away, forced to buy back. They also lose the Visage and the Earthshaker as well. Antimage is going to get chased down off to the side by the Spirit Breaker, and they lose 4 immediately. 2 buybacks, in fact. Thug and Mitch going to return in, but going towards Supreme, that's a hard sell. They're going to get the Silent Circle down. Thug already dropped down pretty low, however, Mitch is going to pop the Blade Mail. Just race into Leshrac, who's forced to commit suicide. Now the LSA combo setup onto the Spirit Breaker. They land the stun, and Milan's there for a follow-up stun. They'll kill off the Spirit Breaker in turn. But overall, they lost 4 heroes and were forced to use 2 buybacks. Will they get this Roshan? If they do get it, then it's fine to use those buybacks. And it seems like they should be able to secure this.
I'm not even sure if I'd call that fine. It's a huge gold swing in the favor of ATN. More than 2,000 in their favor, and similar in experience swing. Unless they get something major off of this Aegis on the Bloodseeker, I'm not so sure. It's kind of nice that they kill off the Leshrac as soon as he picks up his Bloodstone, but he was involved in a handful of the kills beforehand. I don't think it's going to slow them down too much, and there's the Decimal, and Klink's going to work on Milan with the Flare to secure the kill on the Shaker. This is a really awkward move. mYinsanity knew that they were spotted out. The Roshan wasn't falling very quickly, and with that weave on themselves, they're taking so much damage from the Roche, and then Klink's literally 1-shots the Bloodseeker and then 2 shots the Visage. even without his Desolator completed inside that fight, the physical damage from Lynx is not to be underestimated, and it's actually going to be ATN to take the tower immediately after the fact. It was just a very awkward time to be going for that Roshan. I know mYinsanity expected they'd be able to do it faster with the DD, but charge up top. Nickababy's gonna be caught out. Another strike to follow up afterwards, but no further help. Nickababy should be fine unless he's 17% and he's gonna get a bash. But again, nobody else is there. They're going to lose the Aegis on Mitch, looking for the Splitter of Sun. They'll slow him down. The Desolator damage. Mitch is going to fall. And just like that, that Roshan is 100% not worth it. Nisha's dropped low. The Bloodseeker, however, is dead, and with a heal bomb, they'll be able to simultaneously keep him alive and go for more kills. They'll kill off Delina, an absolute train wreck for mYinsanity this last couple minutes of the game.
Exotic Deer, he's dropping low, the only one to really drop low, and they actually have a charge onto the Anti-Mage. He is probably not going to die to the Spirit Breaker, although with the connected charge earn as well as a bash, he can get the kill. There's one bash and a Searing Arrow from the Clinks, and now they're on to Milan. It's going to be a full 5-man wipe, probably, even though there's a pretty good fissure. It looks like Milan will actually get away because of it. The Earthshaker surviving is like almost completely irrelevant. Exotic Deer with the Desolator and Alternate finding the initiations. I was just talking about this. That Roshan fight, the follow-up fights, they were the ones to catch mYinsanity off guard, and with no BKBs, no defensive tools, they couldn't really assemble the troops in an appropriate fashion, and just like that, Alternate are going to skyrocket in net worth. It was 5k in favor of mYinsanity, but it looks like it should end up in 5k going the other way very soon.
Lishrak now up to 11 Bloodstone charges, is very happy with his position inside this game. Clinks is looking to work towards a BKB as his next major item, and the items are flowing for ATN. The same can't be said for mYinsanity. What they have is what they've been sitting on for quite some time. Although Lena's going to be working towards that Bloodstone, mYinsanity just need more space on this map. It really feels like that Roshan move was unnecessarily risky, and now their map is being constricted. The vision coming out from ATN is going to keep tabs as they're farming out through their jungle, which is very scary when you have a Spirit Breaker and Clinks on your own team. And although mYinsanity have decent aggressive vision and vision to look for kills and look for towers, actually protecting themselves is going to be very hard.
Yeah, it was just that Roshan fight. I think if that didn't happen, this game would still be, well, with mYinsanity having that earlier gold lead and earlier experience lead, but because they voluntarily put themselves in a corner like that, it's so much easier for Alternate to start that fight. And now mYinsanity had to fight from behind. Something that's still going right is that the Anti-Mage is getting quite a lot of farm, but he's been surpassed, and he has been under pressure ever since he's picked up this Battle Fury. So though it's nice to have the item, if you're not actively using it, if you're not actively bouncing around everywhere and farming with it, then it's almost as if you don't even have it. And, well, it's 21 minutes. You should have your Battle Fury by now, Anti-Mage. So the mYinsanity side, they just have to not get picked off haphazardly by Alternate. But it looks like that's not really in the cards, because Spartan's going to get charged by the Spirit Breaker. And he looks like, well, with a Familiar Drop 1, Familiar Drop 2, he's going to actually cancel the Nether Strike, but now lifted up into the air by the Cyclone. He has backup coming in the form of Thug, who's going to Yules up the Spirit Breaker. Look for that kill, but he's taking so much damage, even with Lagoon Blade. He gets up to the high ground. No, he doesn't actually. Bugs down to the low ground. Huge Mana Void, going to drop everyone low, but everyone's still alive. You maybe can't quite do enough there, and the Bloodseeker, he's going to think about going in, but suddenly charged Mitch is not going to get stunned. He's going to Rupture Supreme and even consider turning around, but Exotic Deer coming from behind is going to crush him, even through the Blade Mail. It's an unstoppable spree for the Clinks and a whole bunch of kills for mYinsanity. Maybe Nickababy's going to find Nisha here, but no, he has to TP out because he's scared of the charge. Again, mYinsanity, they walk into Alternate and just get completely eviscerated.
The scenario inside the draft I was talking about where ATN get map control is now. It's so scary if you're a hero on mYinsanity's side. You can't go anywhere alone comfortably. Nickababy's inside the enemy woods. This is the place where he feels safest, and I don't blame him. His own woods is being overrun by ATN characters. They're going to look for a high ground push with the Desolator. This tower's falling so quickly, and this is going to be a tier 3, and maybe even Raxing at 22 minutes in. If you said that this would happen 5-7 minutes ago, I wouldn't have believed you.
I don't think there's anything mYinsanity can do to actually stop them. Exotic Deer is doing so much damage, and Thug, he's going to lift up Clockwork, but Clock is fine. He's going to Force Staff out, and that's melee racks, 22 minutes. There's no Blink Dagger on Shaker. If there was, maybe they'd be able to fight. They're going to come in with Nickababy from the south side, but there's a charge still here on the Spirit Breaker. If Alternate are forced to fight, they may take a couple of kills before they actually drop any of their heroes, and they're actually going to go straight for Exotic Deer. He's spotted. Where's the Yules? It's not up just yet, and Thug cannot catch up to this Clinks. Nickababy's going to blink forward, but everyone else from Alternate, they're going to fall back safe and sound. This is a huge amount of advantage now for alternate, even though, you know, it's 10k gold, 10k experience, something around those lines. That in and of itself is big. Adding Raxes on top of that so early as well. Is this game even winnable by mYinsanity? Anti-Mage needs so much more than what he has right now if he's going to hold this.
Winnable, yes, but it's going to be so very difficult. With all of those towers falling, the supporting cast from ATN are the ones that are really going to benefit when it comes to their item progression. Dazzle's still a little bit far behind, but the Spirit Breaker has Blade Mail as parts towards his Black King bar. In fact, his net worth is neck and neck with that of the Bloodseeker, not too far behind the top farmers inside this game. And similar for the Clockwork as his Blade Mail 4-staff working towards Ags. Everybody's getting something if you're on ATN's side. And the same can't be said for the Visage Shaker. Shaker is a quarter of the way towards his Blink Dagger, but at the current pace of the game, I don't see him getting that anytime soon. And the Visage has a Medallion Brown Boots. This isn't terrible for the Visage, but it's also not good.
Oh, and the Bloodseeker, this might be terrible. Actually, they're running to Nico Baby or Mitch, or both. They're going to set up for the Split Earth. That's going to connect. Mitch has the Blade Mail up, and Scream's going to take a lot of damage, but Dazzle is there to save him. Sasu, though, is getting focused down by the Visage, dropping pretty low himself. Nico Baby, he's being focused by the Clinks. Going to get killed off in 2 shots. The Bloodseeker falls, and Thug, he's looking to fall as well. Yule's Scepter is not going to save you here, although it might for a couple of seconds. He should fall right into his own doom. Echo Slam on Sasu. Thug's still alive, actually. He's going to put a little bit more damage to Sasu, but to what end? He's got to run now to the left, and he will get shot down by the Flare. Spartan also caught by Supreme. That's a 4-for-0 trade. They're going to clean up the rest of the middle lane. Tier 2s are still up in the side lane, so they can't go for anything else in the way of Raxes, but still, it's another decisively won fight by alternate, and they're going to claim range Rax. It's a small benefit after that. Maybe a couple of these like neutral buildings, that's really all they can get.
They could probably get a tier 4. They push incredibly fast. Fishers are going to delay, and people are going to be respawning on mYinsanity's side quickly, but not quick enough to save one of these tier 4s. I'm pretty sure the right tier 4 is going to fall, and even though it's not that important when it comes to controlling the map and controlling your Ancient, really want both of them down, it's more gold for ATN's side, and that's not something that you'll be happy about if you're mYinsanity. The heroes on ATN's side are just so good at this point in the game, and all of it comes down to that Roshan fight. It really was just a weird move for mYinsanity. It felt like they thought they were far enough ahead, or maybe they overestimated what they could have done with the Bloodseeker's damage output. But oh, bottom line, they're going to get Yules on the list track, but his Yules will dodge the Light Strike Array, and now a hookshot to Nico Baby. Nico Baby's dropping so low, he'll get the Mana Void off, which will drop them to about half, but they lose both the AM and the Lina, not something they can do. Mitch is moving pretty fast at about hasted movement speed with the damage that was applied, and Dimitri might just die to the Familiars running around with Rupture on, but now that he's shallow graved up, should survive, and the Bloodseeker has to run back to base. Just the AoE damage is going to force him out.
No, he ruptured the Spirit Breaker, and then Spirit Breaker was running around with Blade Mail on, so Bloodseeker almost died to that. Like,
oh, poor
what?
Bloodseeker.
Feels bad, man. Milan's the only one alive, and that's it. This game, that Roshan fight, that was really the turning point. I don't want to say that that fight instantly lost mYinsanity the game, but it costed them all the momentum that they had. Like, before that, Bloodseeker was doing really well. After that, it seemed like he was always running into his doom. Anti-Mage didn't get any real farm with this Battle Fury, and alternate, they just got way too much gold off that one fight. It spiraled out of control, and just like game 1, we have a really quick 30-minute, or pre-30-minute game with Team Alternate. Turns out Leshrac is pretty good, but also Clinks, even though off to a slow start, able to make some stuff happen. But I think it's really Nisha, the Dazzle, that really was the difference there. So many times mYinsanity tried to go for those kills, but just couldn't because they had to wait for the Grave to wear off. And now, guys, we're going to be moving on to Game 3, and we'll see who's going to be moving on in the upper bracket. This is not an elimination match, so it's not the end of the world, but still, Alternate mYinsanity will be right back in just a little bit, guys. Don't go anywhere.